Hey, my life. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. Such a pleasure to be here once again. And we're excited because we're streaming from Lagos, Nigeria to West Africa to Africa and to the entire world. If you just joined us, welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. Fantastic sessions all the time and all the way. And today is not going to be an exception. Um, on the Good Morning Education Show, we will be expecting you to join us and, of course, you know, to learn and share with us your views and also the views of other people so we can learn together, share together, and ultimately grow together. On the show, we bring about topical issues within and around the world of education and business. And we also get to hear various experts share their thoughts, their views, their perspective on the conversation of the day. And on the Good Morning Education Show, I believe that you will find it an exciting time to be here and you'll find an interesting one as well. So thank you for joining, and I believe that we're going to have a great time. Please do not hesitate to make contributions, ask questions, and also tell us your name and the location where you're streaming from. We'd like to celebrate you, we'd like to recognize you, we want to appreciate you for joining. The Good Morning Education Show is a show where we start with headlines and issues around the world of education, and then we'll take a step further to talk about the topical conversation for the day. We do this every Monday to Fridays, West African time, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. And of course, we have the weekend special as well. And the weekend special is also something that we also have in store. And today is not going to be an exception. We're going to have a great time on the show this morning. And I'd like to welcome you all to the show. Welcome you all to the show. Thank you all for joining the Good Morning Education Show. And like I said, we'll start with the headline. And then from the headline, we'll go back to the issues and the matters arising. Our first headline is going to be along the line of career, and we're going to look at it from that perspective. There's a headline that says, Upwen empowers students on STEM. This is coming from this day live, um, and it says that, the Association of Professional Women in Engineering, which is also known as APWEN, recently held a career talk for students of Army Children's Senior High School, the military cantonment Ikeja. And it's aimed at ensuring that they see the prospect in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which is STEM. The chairperson of APWEN Lagos chapter, Mrs. Monsura Abimbola Alagbe, said the association is not only interested in the girl child, but also in the STEM teachers and how they are able to pass the message across to students and for them to have affinity for science. According to our APWEN enhances the work of teachers so they can teach their students very well. And that's pretty much what that headline is saying. And I think we should say well done to them. We should say well done to them for standing in the gap to do this. I think it's important for us to appreciate and celebrate meaningful pursuit by organizations, well-meaning organizations who seek to better the lot of children within the education space. All right. We have another headline, and this time around, the headline says, so that's ZODML unveils free online library for self-driven learning. Some weeks ago, we are talking about online learning and all that. But that is very important that we have that. The Zacchaeus Onumba Dibia Ezwe Memorial Libraries has launched a free online library to encourage academic excellence and instill the value of self-driven learning in youth. The event held in Lagos attracted students from public tertiary institutions, trustees, and stakeholders. ZOML is a non-profit organization based in Lagos with access to over 300,000 online resources and 2.45 million resources at its community library. According to the co-founder and chairperson, Mrs. Ifeoma Esiri, the library project is inspired by the life and legacy of Zacchaeus Onumba Dibia Ezwe, who through self-learning and access to libraries transformed his life and the lives of others. She said the organization runs a community library, 34 school library, and 19 libraries in correctional centers across the country. This is amazing, I need to say that this is amazing to have an individual really commit to setting up their foundation or to get their foundation, to focus on helping and empowering people through productive provision of free resource, because sometimes, while we have the desire to learn, it sometimes gets hampered when we don't have access and availability of resource. And a library is a mega resource to the community, resource to the average individual, because it saves people the stress and the burden to pursue self-development, to pursue knowledge, because it's already been paid for. And that's important. It's important. I believe it's quite important that we appreciate that and recognize that as well. So well done to the organization. Thank you. And of course, I am so excited that we have Nana. Nana is joining us today. I don't know which part of the world she's joining us today from, but I am so excited to have Nana, and I hope the others get in good time to say hello to you. She says, I'm so glad to engage with you all in real time this morning. Fantastic. Thank you so much. This is one of our most treasured tribe members, if I would say that. Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much for making our day. Yes. And we move to the next headline. And this particular headline is talking about ASU. If you're familiar with the education space, particularly in Nigeria, West Africa, you would not be surprised that ASU has been in the news. Yes, ASU has been in the news. In fact, last year ASU was consistently in the news, of course, due to the issues around strike, issues around the memorandum that they had to sign, and so many issues, And now ASU is back again, and this time around, they are saying that, well, is it ASU that is saying it, but both parties. It says ASU strike won't affect NUGA. NUGA is an acronym for the National or Nigerian University Games. It's a game. It's like a mini Olympics across tertiary institutions, and I think that one of the concerns people have raised is the possibility of how do you put it? The possibility of the games, because it always brings influx of students and a lot of people from different campuses, and the host this time around, I believe, is UNILAG, so the vice chancellor of the University of Lagos, Professor Oluwatoyin Ogundipe, is saying that based on their preparation and all that they're doing, that it's not likely that the ASU strike would affect the games. They've put in measures to ensure that every moment, will beat set standards according to them. So we believe that they'll go beyond previous participation and all that. They have Olympic-sized swimming pool where electronic time in the cricket field is the best. They're sharing the highlights, but it's a little bit is still not clear as to the students' responses, because some have to go home, obviously, because they're using the hostels to host others. But with all this travel, with all this petrol scarcity, so many factors, we wish them all the best and we pray that it becomes one of the best things uh, they get to experience in recent times. You So let's hope for the best. That's what I'll say. Let's hope for the best, right? Um, yeah. So we move on to the next headline, and then we go forward again. So the next headline this time around, the next headline says 18-year-old Nigerian teenager writes the Quran off and within 3 months, says it's her age-long ambition. This headline is coming from Legit. It's coming from Legit, and you know, we would say congratulations to her on this feat. It's not always easy to carry out what you call memory exercises or mind exercises. A lot of people know that it takes a lot concentration, practice, consistency. It takes a lot, and for someone to do that, um, with the goal should not end in ability to memorize and recite, but then that is the goal should be that it becomes a skill that can translate into other aspects and dimensions of her life and how she can contribute to the lives of other people. So well done. Congratulations to to our, our writer, and we hope for the best. So her name is Suma Shuaibu Salisu. Now to a um, quick news, Scotty visits and celebration. Yes, Nana says, "Wow, congratulations to her. It is certainly a transferable skill. I agree, and I hope it's leveraged properly." Yes. So we have another headline, and this headline is talking about Caleb schools in Nigeria. We have Caleb schools, which they're celebrating International Mother Language Day. Mother Language Day. So yesterday was World Book Day, and Caleb also was is in the news doing that, and they also had a courtesy visit, I believe, with the Commissioner of Education, and that is in the picture story as well. So congratulations to Caleb, and I believe that we leverage on the mother language. It's quite important because it's one identity, two culture, then of course it also helps a lot of people with ease to be able to transfer history. I was in a school where they recited the national anthem, the Nigerian national anthem in Yoruba, and I was quite impressed because that tells you that people are taking their language seriously. It's a part of them. It's a part of them. It's their identity, and they mustn't miss out on that at all. We must always encourage schools and individuals as well. All right, before we continue, let's take a step further to navigate the headline from JAM. The Joint Admission and Matriculation Board registers over 500 candidates, targets 1.5 million. Wow, that's an outstanding number. 1.5 million to register. So already currently they have 500,000. That's half a million candidates are registered for the exam, and then they're aiming to have 1.5. That's a million extra. Well, we understand that the numbers don't lie. This just speaks to the fact that there's so much opportunity, but there's also so much demand for the university education system. so huge a demand. All right. Um, Now let's move into international news. International news, and we're going a bit into obviously when you hear international news, most people know Russia has been in the news, Ukraine has been in the news. Russia wants media, schools not to call Ukraine invasion a war. You know, um, Russia is obviously at the front end of this news, and of course, there are so many sites to so many things happening right now, and it's clear that the messaging that is being pushed is that um, these are people who are trying to claim that these people never left in the first place, and in their own perspective, it's almost like saying that we're keeping our clusters back. But mine is not to analyze that. Mine is just to read and see how this also affects education. Because I know the only thing that really hurts education is civil unrest or things like this, like war. So you can imagine there's nobody's going to be talking about curriculum. Nobody's going to be talking about having a class. Nobody's going to be talking about online learning at this point because things are not stable. A lot of people have moved out of their homes, seeking refuge, seeking safety. And that's, I think, the number one thing in their mind. They probably won't even be emotionally and mentally stable right now due to the war. And that also is so worrisome because when it stops, when this issue stops, um, I think that the people that have been traumatized, the numbers will have been so high, and then we'll now be left with the reality of what we're facing today, right? That's very important. Okay, so we move on to the next headline, and the next headline is talking about a sad one, and really gives us the need to really address things head on. It says a choir student kills friend over missing food plates. Kills friend over missing food plate. That's a sad story. Honestly, it's a sad story because life is lost. Plates, missing plates. You know, it's sad. It's really, really sad. A student from KC College of Education in Ilorin, Kwara State, Yakubu Ahmed, has been arraigned before an Ilorin magistrate court for allegedly causing the death of his friend. The accused and his late colleague Farouk Ahmed were said to have engaged in physical combat during which they used knives to inflict injuries on each other. The police first information report stated that the fight between the duo ensued as a result of missing food plates kept in custody of the deceased. It was gathered that the accused and the deceased were rushed to the University of Ilorin Teaching Hospital for treatment, but Ahmed later died as a result of the injuries he sustained during the physical combat. In his ruling, the trial magistrate Adebayo Kudu said he could only take cognizance of the case as his court lacked jurisdiction to entertain the matter. He ordered that the accused should be remanded at the correctional center and adjourned the matter till March 21st, 2022 for mention. Well, there's so many things. There's so many things that Nanas is very sad, absolutely sad. You know, it's definitely an underlying problem. Is yes, we hope that the facts will surface with time on these issues because obviously, you know, it could have been something that had started before now. We just pray for the families of the deceased to find comfort and succor, because it's not, you don't send your child to school to bury them, you send your child to school to empower them. And this is an unfortunate one. Um, but then I believe that the law will take its course, and we hope that things will be done, you know, with the best of intent, objectivity, transparency, and professionalism. And we can now say, yes, we know the entire truth and all the sides of the stories have been covered, no stone left on. All right, Nigeria battling shortage of teachers. UBEC. This is this is as popular. This reality is so strong a reality that it's almost like saying, what is the 25th of December called? Of course, it's called Christmas Day. So therefore, we know Nigeria has that huge shortage, and I hope that we address this immediately. Very true. The UBE Commission, that's the Universal Basic Education Commission, has lamented that there's a shortage of teachers in government schools across the country. The Executive Secretary, Dr. Hamid Boboy, made this remark at a recent interactive session with the beneficiaries of the 2020-2021 Federal Teacher Scheme project in Lagos, held at Lagos State. The FTS intervention program was established by the federal government in 2006 to assist states address the shortage of teachers at the basic education level, you know, and all that. So really, it's important, you know, it's important for us to know that as we are having shortage, we also remember that our desire is that we have quality and quantitative education at all levels, really, at all levels. And I hope that people will also not create a smoke screen and hide behind interventions and supposedly schemes, you know. And then let's have the final headline, and then we'll move into the conversation of the day. Final headline of the day. The final headline. Student group demands education minister's resignation. This is um, coming from the recent news, where we have the student wing of coalition of northern groups on Thursday demanded the immediate resignation of the education minister, that's Adamu, over his alleged failure to bring to an end the current strike by the members of Academic Staff Union, which is of Nigerian University, which is also known as ASU. The government, in particular, the Minister of Education, lacks the political will, capacity, and willingness to bring the matter to an end. As such, it should resign with immediate effect. The students declared at a press conference in Katsina through their national coordinator. Well, you know, I've said this before that sometimes, we fail to realize that there's an element of service delivery that is missing, either in our consciousness or in our practice. A lot of people sign up to universities, subscribe to universities, you know, and honestly, I feel that if I'm subscribing to a particular service of some sort, then I think the right thing to do is to be able to ensure that what I've subscribed to is delivered. And so that's where the university system, ASU government, they are not clear in their messaging, or better still, they're not clear in their approach. How do we address this? Because students are actually making a demand. You can't go into university system and you're not clear or sure. when you'll be done with your university program. I think that uncertainty is too costly. It's too costly as it were. But then we hope that things change. We hope that they get their heart together, and we have a dynamic education system. You know, that's the real thing about it. All right. So on that note, we're going to. That's the last headline for the topic. I mean, for the conversation. So we will move over quickly to our topic for the day, and we'll be talking about an interesting topic. We're talking about an interesting topic that education, well, not education, confusion is a gift. Confusion is a gift. I'm sure that will come to some people as a major surprise. Why would you say confusion is a gift? Um, why? I think that um, if you're going to say confusion is a gift, then you must look at the dynamics of the essence behind the word confusion. Of course, if you were to define confusion, confusion is really talking about uncertainty about what is happening, uncertainty about what is required or what is intended. You know, it's sometimes a state where one is not clear, where one is not clear. And I really want us to dwell on that aspect about that state, because first it starts out with a state before it moves into an ability. When you say someone is confused, for example, is probably a state of being, is confused about taking a decision, is confused about his business, is confused about so many factors in life. But then in that state consistently, one might now get into another state, which is not necessarily just a state, but into a reality where confusion now becomes the issue of, or the concern of ability. But I think that if you look at the meaningful push people have given to things, the pursuit people have pushed through with things, I think that most of the time it always comes from the place of confusion. Either you see that people who are confused, who are bewildered, who are not sure of what to do, and you are able to step in to close the gap of confusion, to fill in the space that confusion has created, or to add value to the issue created by confusion. Confusion in itself becomes a gift to that individual. So you can feed on it, you can feast on it, because it's technically something that is affecting some people. And as it's affecting some people, you are able to look at how to bring solution to such people. Now, if you're going to look at it on another way around, confusion is a gift because it is also pushing people not just to one aspect of things that they are doing, but also now taking you into a separate perspective, which means that you are now seeing confusion as an experience that is almost like the ingredient for you to ask questions, for you to take a leap, for you to move forward, for you to leapfrog into your own desired reality. Um, Thank you. Nana says interesting perspective. That's the truth. Sometimes a lot of people look for calm at the expense of their growth because everyone wants something to be perfect. Everybody, I don't want wahala, I don't want trouble. That is very good. But sometimes it's not healthy because growth actually comes as a result of chaos. And if you begin to think about it, chaos or intending chaos or prevention of chaos is what really, right, presents itself as a gift. And whether it is at a state where it's happening or it's a state where it's being profiled, you must see confusion as a gift, because that's the only way. Because when you find people confused and you get yourself also to be confused, you do not totally feel empowered. Only when your perspective changes to see that this is actually a gift. And one of the things I would like to counsel people today, on the show is that whenever you face something similar to this kind of situation, you feel confused and you're facing confusion, right? You must make up your mind to ask yourself this question. One, do I want to stay feeling confused, or do I want to move facing the confusion? You either feel the confusion or you face the confusion. Your resoluteness, your determination on whatever it is will determine the kind of outcome you have. Most people sit down, bury themselves in that pity party, and say that, okay, I am feeling confused, right? I am feeling. Dana says, yes, I'm feeling confused. Now, when you feel things, it's just an expression that, yes, your emotions, you can feel it, you have identified with it. Absolutely true. But when you stay at the place of feeling, you lack actions required to deal with that feeling. So think about a man, a woman, a boy, a girl that says, I feel hungry. That is the truth. You feel hungry. Maybe because you've not had your breakfast, maybe because you've stayed away from food for a while, or maybe because of the work you've been engaging in. So that has burnt out whatever was there before. Now you feel hungry. Now, if you stay feeling hungry, the feeling might not leave you. In fact, as it's known, the longer you stay feeling in that place, the worse the effect. So it's almost going to be that when you stay feeling hungry, you might begin to feel worse than when you started feeling hungry. However, when you face the hunger, the effect of what you feel, it means you are directing yourself closer to solving the problem. You are getting closer to ensuring that you want to take away the issue of feeling hungry. That's pretty much what it is. Now, if I'm going to flip it, it means that everyone must make up their mind that confusion should not be what we run from. In fact, it is best that we run towards confusion, because when we run from confusion, we eventually will still face confusion, because confusion is not just an event, it's a social reality that will come as a result of the things we do or as a result of the things we refuse to do. And most of the time, because our work and life relates with other people, you might find out that there are people induced confusion. While you might have your personal confusion, some people's activity, inactivity, some people's situation, and some people's how do I put it now? Some people's reality can eventually still cause you to be in this confusion. You can hear many times people are in a particular country and they're like, I don't understand. Where do we go from here? And it's really not a problem that you brought on yourself, but because it was people induced, it was sector induced, society induced, it was government induced, it became a problem. And my counsel to everyone out there who is really, really, really planning to do something meaningful is to think about this that we're talking about and begin to understand that while I know that it is true and you're being true to yourself to feel confused, I would like to encourage you to don't to not to stay too long in a place of feeling it, but move over to the point of facing it. Because if anything would change, it most likely will be when you face the confusion. And when you face confusion, the first thing is, what does this thing mean? Let that be one of your popular mantra going forward, where you're asking yourself, so hey, What does this mean? Because it's then that you're able to now begin to do what people normally call critical thinking, where you are thinking about all the points of views. This is happening. What are the points of views? My point of view, the world's point of view, the scenario point of view, the moral point of view, the outcome point of view, results point of view, stakeholders point of view, depending on the situation, depending on the factor, you know, what's the point of good? What's the point of use? You need to look at all those things. That will help shape you to say, okay. And most times you find that in that place and in that state, in that reality of confusion, people have engineered success. People have generated success. I was told, you know, that some of even the tech products that you see today, some of the tech products that we see today, I was sharing with some of my friends, and some of them said that this tech products, most of the time, the people, the inventors, the creator, all they just do is to play scenarios and just think about the things that the world is struggling with, or to think about processes that can be improved, or to see the bad effect of doing a particular thing. And then they say that, you know what? Why not let's make life easier for this? Because if they do it like this, it will continue to take time, it will continue to cause this, it will continue to cause that. And immediately, confusion becomes a gift for creation. And when they create these things, you don't call it confusion product. You understand? You call it solution. Now, what it simply means is because they've been able to face it, they were able to turn confusion into solution. So every confusion, I believe, is a solution in disguise. So, it reminds me of a man, a popular person, I'm not going to mention the name, who was invited to speak in a particular country, still an African country. And then they were they were throwing jabs and making fun of Nigeria, where he's from. And they said to him that, well, your country, Nigeria, you guys don't have this, you don't have that. I don't understand how you guys are living, blah, 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 blah. And they made fun about it, not necessarily with the intent to bring him down, but it was too much an expensive joke. Everyone kept throwing jabs at Nigeria and all that. So when he stood up, he went to the podium, took up the mic, and said to them, said, well, thank you very much for your analysis of Nigeria. Yes, we don't have this, and that's why this is the biggest opportunity, in Africa. We don't have power supply enough, but that's the reason why we are the biggest market for generator use and all that. And what he decided to do was he picked every problem, what we will call confusion, the confusion of the Nigerian states, the thing causing the confusion of the Nigerian populace. And he threw it back at the people throwing jabs. And he said to them, it's because we don't have power that we have opportunity for people to come in and make so much. It's because we lack technology of telephones at the GSM, that at that time we got in people to come in. They made 300% profit, in their first year. And people kept quiet, and it became a teachable moment that indeed, as bad as confusion can feel, as bad as confusion can look like, the truth about it is that confusion is just a raw material. It is a resource in the hands of the mindful. It's a resource in the hands of the wise. That when you are able to flick it, when you're able to turn it, what happens is that you are able to have a better outcome, making the best of a bad situation, making the most of a worse scenario. And that's really what happens from time to time. In fact, I've come to realize that a lot of people, the confusion effect on them causes them to lose steam, hate people, break friendship, discontinue relationship, and then you ask them why. Then they tell you how they feel. And if we as educators, as business people, as professionals are always driven by how we feel, we will shortchange ourselves at some point in time. Because feelings sometimes are not the best indices to rely on final outcome. Feelings are not the best indices to rely on. Sometimes you might be, okay, what about if you feel afraid of doing something? Now, the fact that you feel that fear doesn't make that thing not profitable. Neither does it make that thing wrong. It's just a feeling. And one of the things is that you need to acknowledge your truth. I feel confused. And that's why there's something called scenario planning. In fact, business consultants will tell you that because of this, thank you, and thank you for joining. Because of this, people tell you that, you need to understand what you call root cause analysis, meaning that there's nothing that cannot be traced to a root. And if we are able to deal with that root, it will stop messing with our fruit. So when we bring these things out and we say, okay, there's a confusion in the business, there's a confusion in the market, there's a confusion in the sector, there's a confusion in the industry. We'll take the confusion, and as sad, as bad as it might feel, we begin to take it apart into fragments, tear it down from whole into pieces, and begin to say, let's go through this route, let's go through this route, let's move through this week, let's move through this medium. And it is only then you begin to understand. In fact, many people walk up to me sometimes, some people call me, some people talk to me on phone and all that, and they don't know what to do. And I sometimes will say something that will shock them. And in the process, they now look at it from a light bulb moment. If you are looking for growth or you are looking for what to do, I can tell you, look for confusion. If you can find confusion, there's growth on the other side of confusion. If you are lacking what to do, some people say, well, I've done so many things, and strategically, I don't even know the next step. The next step is to embrace confusion. The next step is to mine confusion. Take it like a mine, break it down, mine it deep. That's the honest truth, Yes, I mean, very true. This is why teamwork is essential in all we do. Absolutely, because we can't see our blind spots objectively. This is very informative. Thank you so much for the kind words, Nana, and welcome to the show. If you're joining us for the first time, please do let us know. Um, Please let us know. Tell us your name and location you're streaming from. Welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. Thank you, everyone. So yes, we're talking about that, and honestly, uh, this is how to get into the mix of this. So anytime you see the word confusion, please, I would like you to change your disposition towards it. It's not a bad word altogether. It's only not just a productive state to be in, all the time. But if you understand that you want to take it away from, the issue that if I stay in this place too long, confusion now begins to rob me of capacity. That's when you are now going to realize that it's a big issue. So confusion you know, must never rob you of capacity. If you have questions, please feel free. Send me your questions, I'll be able to answer. Yes, so thank you all for joining. Thank you. So yes, speaking about which, we need to also take a step further to look at it. Confusion is a gift. Yes, why do we say that confusion is a gift? Because most of the time, and just like Nana said, we all don't pay attention. You see, one of the reasons that we must even have, team at work or reflection and feedback is because when you begin to drive routine, one of the things that routine will do for you is that it makes you zone in. And when you zone, you are focusing. And the truthful thing about focus is that it's also blindness of some sort. So what happens is you are no longer seeing as you should see. Have you noticed that a lot of people, when they begin to burn the oil of passion, burn the oil of focus, they begin to lose the effect of consciousness. So because of the thing that they are running after, they are focusing after, They begin to look the things that are conscious around them. And that's why sometimes with time and growth, a lot of people just realize that they've lost touch of reality. They've lost touch of the market. They've lost touch of purpose. They've lost the edge that made them start in the first place. Please understand this today and always. Confusion is a gift. It's a gift. It's a gift. And what do you do to gift? You embrace it. You take ownership of it. You know, don't outsource the confusion. Take ownership for it and seek to throw questions at the things that cause you concerns, um, and all that. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But then there's something that I think I need us to talk about. Um, we want to be able to um, get the best, because I know that some people also got into that state because of the truth of the matter is for people who really leverage, embrace own confusion as a gift, you must deal with stress in your routines, in your process, and in your life. I repeat, you must deal with stress in your routine, in your process, and in your life. You see, when stress is present, stress causes that confusion to come with its toxic effect. Because for every confusion, there is energy. There is the mode where energy is inside. You know, that's the issue about confusion. And I want you to begin to ask yourself, how am I? Because honestly, some people, even the reason why they're confused is because they're stressed, because they're not able to think through, they're not able to see through. And once you're not able to think through, you're not able to see through, you will not be able to follow through. And it happens to the best of us. So it's not an issue of, oh, maybe it's an academic qualification, not necessarily. It's just the fact that whenever stress is present, stress limits intelligence. Some people tell you that you sometimes will not likely make the best of decisions in a stressed state. Sometimes people leak emotionally when they are stressed. You know what? They just can't figure everything is happening at the same time. Just leave me alone. That kind of a thing. But honestly, you must understand, for you to be able to make sure that you're able to find some measure of reducing, you know. Yes, I agree with you. In fact, Nana, you are absolutely right. We need to also get to have what you call a reflective exercise. Practicing mindfulness in some cases, it also would bring about, because for you to reduce stress, you must address your routine, which might need people to practice meditation, and also so many things, pursue quality of life. Because at the point you do that, guess what happens? You begin to make yourself find your own equilibrium. And when you find that balance of some sort, it makes you to be able to add value as expected and as required. So equilibrium helps you balance things out, and then you find value. And many people must understand that. And another thing is that we must begin to ask ourselves, are we in an enabling state? I was having a training for a bank some weeks ago, well, 2 weeks ago to be precise. And we're sharing with the people that sometimes um, it's not necessarily correct to say that someone is an unproductive person, but we sometimes might need to look at, are they having unproductive states? So it's like saying there's really no unproductive person. They're just unproductive state of being. You hear people talk about a country, and they say that there's a lot not happening in their country because they are not necessarily in a productive state. Another word to use for that is what you call an enabling environment. When you ask yourself, think about it. Are we in an enabled environment? If it's enabled, it becomes enabling. An enabling environment to do business, to work, to thrive. So when you think about it, most people their state of being is unproductive. That's why I sometimes tell people, as you start your project and initiative, choose your attitude. As you start your business, choose your attitude. As you start the day, choose your attitude. Because when you go into the day with the attitude you chose, it is not tied to the attitude of response, which is most times a reactive attitude. She gave me fire. What do you expect? Fire burns. I need to feel the heat. I transfer the heat back. No, you make up your mind that I know that it's a crazy world out there. How am I to position myself? What am I to do? I have a doctor friend who always say that, she uses affirmation, but she just say, what? Don't just get out there. She gets to work. She doesn't just jump out of the car. She spends some seconds, sometimes maybe some minutes before she jumps into the day, before she leaves the house. It's just like trying to practice being in control. Trying to practice being in control. Understand that confusion most times, the very first thing it does, it shakes your external foundation. Something happened. What exactly? Even though sometimes when people are angry and they feel the other people are not feeling their pain, one of the words they hate the most, we say it in training, is don't use the word calm down, because that actually is interpreted in the reverse. So when you tell someone, like maybe a customer comes into your organization and is not happy about something and the person is not pleased at all and is probably throwing up their voices and all that, and they say, "Madam, calm down." You just say, "Yeah, calm down." They increase the volume. And you're wondering, but I said calm down. Sometimes that triggers because it feels you're just saying this to shut me up. You're not saying because you connect and you identify what I feel, you know. But what I'm saying is that we, the professional, we, the one that has gotten to the state of confusion, we are the ones that tell ourselves, calm down. Don't tell that person, calm down. The world already is confused, is in a state of confusion. So you now come with a place of calm to approach the confusion. And then you go through the confusion like it was never designed. And which means you need to begin to think differently. So if I am not confused, it means that I am having confusion around, but I have moved beyond feeling confusion. I am now focused on facing confusion. You choose the part of confusion that is vulnerable to you, because at first it was you that was vulnerable to it. You shared your emotion and you shared your energy with it. It sucked you in, and then you started feeling a state of helplessness. But now you make your confusion vulnerable by picking an element of it with calm and approach, and then you begin to throw questions and such. And what is the opportunity to learn here? What's the learning point here? What's the teachable moment here? How can we be able to do that? And once you're able to understand all these things, you begin to see that confusion is truly a gift. And let me tell you what happens. Once you are able to master engaging confusion, you're able to master deconstructing confusion, you're able to master demystifying confusion. Guess what happens? You are able to now take the same confusion, remodel it into what is called solution, and offer the world. And that's my final point, that confusion becomes a resource. It becomes a seed. Came to you as a fruit, you converted it, you're planting it as a seed of solution. And because of that reference point, you're able to make things come out, at several levels of result. That's so amazing, really. That is so reflective and productive. That's how it should be. That's what it should be. This is a Good Morning Education Show. Thank you all for joining, and it's been a great time today on the show. And we are here Mondays to Fridays, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. West African time. Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. West African time, and then of course the weekend special ends on Sunday, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. West African time. You can join us. You can reach us. It's been a great time, having you on board, especially Nana, all the way from Ireland, I believe. Thank you so much, she says, for teaching and empowering me. I'm so glad I was able to join this. But thank you, for joining, and we are so excited to have you. I'm going to share with everyone at the back end that guess who joined us today? Nana. Thank you. Thank you to everyone out there. Please ensure that you have the right interpretation of the things that you face so that it stays and leaves well, so it gives and leaves you empowered as opposed to being um, disempowered, really, honestly. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, and thank you, Nana. Thank you all. God bless you. This is where we will need to draw the curtains on today's conversation. We will be here tomorrow, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Like the page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, share the videos, tell others about the Good Morning Education Show. Pick something about it, share the word, spread the news. Let's learn together, let's share together, and let's go together. My name is Rotimi Itai, and we have one saying on the Good Morning Education Show before we finally sign up. It says, "It's always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show." It's always a great morning for you. It's always a great morning for me. Thank you. Have a nice day, and bye bye.